Mit 17 Jahren gründete er seine erste Firma, dann kamen viele weitere dazu. Die bekannteste davon ist definitiv Evernote. Phil Libin ist Unternehmer und Phil Libin weiß, welche Herausforderungen auf uns zukommen und welche Chancen der Markt uns bieten wird. Phil, in a nutshell, what's going to happen in our markets?
Well, I think the markets are going through a period of maximum transition, which is always the best opportunity to make something new and great.
Something new and great. You said one of the things that are going to happen on the market is snackification. Talk to me about that concept, please.
Well, I think a lot of things in life are getting shorter and more frequent. Everything from work to entertainment to communication, things that you used to do once in a while for a few hours at a time, you now do a few seconds at a time, but much more frequently. So just think about your work, about writing. 20 years ago, you were probably writing on a Microsoft Office desktop computer, and the average session length was about 2 hours. So you would sit down for about 2 hours, maybe once a day, and write some stuff. But now you're doing most of your writing on the phone as you go, and the average session length is about 2 minutes. So you're doing it 2 minutes at a time, but instead of once a day, you're doing it 20 or 30 times a day. Same thing is true with how you talk to your family or your friends. You usually don't have 2-hour phone conversations, you're texting people. Same thing with just entertainment. What was the average length of video that you saw 10 years ago, right? 10 years ago, the average length of a video was probably 2-hour movies and half-hour TV shows. And so the average there was maybe like an hour was the average length of a video. But how often would you watch a video 10 years ago? Maybe a couple of times a week. Now the average video that you watch is probably 6 seconds or even shorter. It's an animated GIF, it's like 2 seconds, but you're seeing it literally thousands of times a day. So this is snackification. This is fundamental processes in our life becoming shorter and more frequent.
So how should companies adapt?
Well, I think any process that takes more than a few seconds or a few minutes, you should look at to say, can we make this shorter and more frequent? Can we reduce the amount of time that you're spending on it all at once, break it up into little snack-sized chunks, and make them entertaining enough, fun enough, or pleasant enough to do over and over and over again. And I think if you can do that for many things, you just get higher quality, more enjoyment, less stress, and more engagement.
You got some of the members of the audience really worried before. During your speech, you said apps are going to disappear. Is that really what's going to happen?
I think apps are going to diminish very significantly, and obviously we've created some great apps at Evernote and elsewhere, and I think apps were the last generation of technological advance. But I think the next one is going to be more conversational. I think, in short, bots are going to take over from apps. And bots are just pieces of functionality that'll sit inside of your communication channels. So imagine you and I are just texting each other, and I'm in San Francisco, and you're in Interlaken, and we're texting each other, and we say, oh, we have to go to this client meeting in Chicago on Thursday. And you say, okay, let's go. And then right in the text, a bot will wake up and say, oh, okay, I see you want to plan a trip to Chicago for next Thursday. It knows where I'm coming from, it knows where you're coming from, it knows our preferences, and right in the text, it gives us options for, okay, here's the best flight, here's the best hotel, and I can click on it and book it without going to another app, kind of right in line. That's a very simple example. I think that example will be repeated 10,000 times.
And that also means that we will be using less forms. I don't have to type in the information if I'm looking for a flight, or I have to put something in my calendar. I don't need to repeat putting in information, right? Is that
right? I think you don't have to learn a new app. You don't have to learn a new interface. You don't have to learn, like, what does this button do? What does this tab do? You just do it in a conversation. The way that you interact with humans is how you'll interact with computers. And you're right, you don't have to fill out a form. So the experience of filling out forms, I think, will vanish. Because think about it, everything that you put into a form already exists in some other computer. So why is it your job to carry information from one computer to a different computer, to put it in your brain first and then to type it in? That really doesn't make any sense. So all of this information will be found in other ways. It will be filled in. You'll really minimize the amount of new information that you have to do, the amount of learning that you have to do, and all of this, I think, will make the experience much more natural, much more cognitively ergonomic. It'll fit the way that your brain wants to work, not the way that the app designer wants your brain to think.
What questions do you find challenging currently?
Well, there's many. This is a whole new ecosystem, and the hard questions are the same hard questions all the time. So security is a big one. how do we make this new world secure? What are the new types of threats? What are the new types of precautions? How do we enable more people to do good things and not just stop bad people from doing bad things? And that question is always important. It's been important for the past few hundred years, but it totally changes now with technology every decade or so. So security going forward is going to be pretty different from security going back, and that's a very important one. But all of the kind of minor surrounding ecosystems change as well. How do you do marketing for this? Now that we finally understand how to do marketing for apps, well, how do you do marketing for bots? Is advertising still going to survive? I kind of don't think so. I think actually advertising is going to be much less relevant in this new world than in the previous one. How do you do distribution? How do you do support? What's the basic voice? Like, what should computers sound like? Everything that we just got good at answering over the past 10 years about apps, we need to start over and answer again for bots. And that's super exciting.
So we're going to have to keep reinventing ourselves. Phil Libin, thank you so much for being here. Und falls Sie weitere Informationen wünschen über die NZZ X-Days, dann finden Sie diese im Internet unter nzz-xdays.com.